Welcome to Thoughts on Change, where we explore the mindsets and moves that make change feel less like a battle and more like a breakthrough. I'm your host, Kelly Mallory. How many of you have experienced this? You're working with someone, a leader, a team member, another CI practitioner, on implementing a change. And then they do something that seems totally out of alignment with the change effort. What's the first thing you think? If you're anything like me, it might sound something like, why would they do that? They must not believe in the change, and they must be trying to sabotage it. Does that sound familiar? Once I start thinking this way, guess what happens next? I start trying to convince them that the change is worthwhile. I try to correct their behavior. I start problem solving their resistance. But here's the real question. Am I working on the right problem? Do I actually know why they did what they did? Because when something unexpected happens, something that doesn't match our previous expectation, we experience what's called a congruence gap. And our brain hates these gaps. So it tries to fill in the blanks with whatever it has, past experiences, incomplete data. In other words, our brain makes up a story. Now, I love a good story. But here's the problem. We build that story with only a sliver of information. We don't know the full context. We don't know their intentions, their constraints, their knowledge level. We don't know what else is going on in their world. It's like if I told you a girl from Kansas got caught in a tornado, and you immediately said, yes, she must have talked to a talking lion and the Tin Man over the rainbow. That sounds ridiculous, right? But we do it all the time in real life, at work, in teams, and yes, even at home. In fact, this exact thing happened to me recently with my husband. So let me give you this example from my life. I have a pretty long commute from my office job, about an hour and 20 minutes. By the time I walk through the door, I am tired. I am beat. All I want to do is drop my stuff, give my dog some love, and get started on dinner. But on this particular day, the first thing I see when I walk in is a sink full of dirty dishes. Immediately, my brain starts spinning. Wait a minute, the sink was empty when I left this morning. I did the dishes from last night before I left. So this has to be from my husband Andy and the girls' breakfast. If I can do my dishes and clean up from the night before, why can't they at least handle their own dishes? So when I see my husband, I come in hot. Hey, I get my dishes done in the morning plus extras. Why can't you and the girls do the same? And of course, he replies, hot as well. I'm trying to get the girls ready and out the door on time. It's like taming dragons in the morning. You just have to deal with yourself. And he was right. I had taken one tiny slice of the story, the dishes in the sink, and filled in the rest on my own assumptions. I filled in their intentions, their priorities, and their available time with absolutely no real information. In my mind, they had the same kind of morning I did, but they didn't, and I didn't stop to ask. The good news is that my husband and I have a solid relationship and we're able to talk through this calmly. But in a different context, with a colleague, a team member, or a stakeholder, coming in like that could have damaged trust, created tension, or derailed the entire change effort. Because when we fill in the gaps of someone else's behavior with our own assumptions, it's easy to create a story that isn't true. And those stories, they can quietly sabotage our change efforts. We see someone not following the new standard and assume they must not agree with it. So we launch into persuasion mode, trying to convince them why it's the right approach. We hear a leader give directions that don't align with the new process and assume they're not on board. So we escalate the issue, possibly damaging relationships and trust in the process. But here's the problem, right? When we act based on stories we create, not based on what's actually true, we often end up solving the wrong problem. And when you're solving the wrong problem, no matter how much effort you put in, the result will fall flat. We need to start learning to recognize the narratives we create when things don't go as planned, so we can question them before we react to them. Because once we see the stories, we can start leading with clarity, not assumption, with curiosity, not judgment, with effectiveness, not exhaustion. Change is already hard. Let's not make it harder by working on the wrong things, driven by the wrong stories. So here are your next steps. Just start by finding the stories your mind is telling you about the situation and about others. Here's how you can begin. First, reflect on moments when your response to resistance didn't lead to the outcome you expected. What did the other person actually do that triggered your reaction? And what do you really know to be true about why they did that? What story did you create to fill in the gaps? And before taking action in response to resistance, pause and check in with yourself. What do you really know to be true here? And what story might you be telling and creating? Remember, these stories are your brain's way of trying to make sense of uncertainty. It's your survival mind stepping in to protect you, but it often fills the gaps in with assumptions, not facts. And those assumptions, they shape your actions and your impact. So when you notice a story, ask yourself, what do I really know to be true? And what actual evidence supports that story? Then start paying attention. How often are your stories accurate? And how often are they not? The more you practice this, the better you'll get at separating facts from fiction, so you can lead change with clarity, compassion, and intention. And let me know how it goes and what you learn. Changing our default thinking and behavior is really difficult, but it has a massive impact on our ability to lead effective change. And this is the way that we impact business results and cultures. This is exactly what I help change agents with in my one-on-one coaching and my program, the Change Odyssey. This is the program that will help you make the shift from battling resistance to breaking through. There are still a few spots open for this next Odyssey that starts in October. And if you would like to learn more and apply, please visit kellymallory.com/Change Odyssey. Or if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please email me at kelly@kellymallory.com. And if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe. If you want to learn more about how I can help you shift your change leadership, visit my website at kellymallory.com. Here's to less battle and more breakthrough, one mindset shift at a time. Thanks for watching.